Okay, let's get these good vibes going. Okay, so Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat some. What is this called?
Mute.
Noodle salad.
All right.
And you're gonna say, who did you play at Pro Tour that you're like, I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. This game has taken me all over the world to the inner harbor of Baltimore, and I have played people from all around the world, and oh my god, I'm gonna remember this forever.
So, actually, this whole Pro Tour lineup was really pretty amazing. I had a tough bracket, I think. So round one was Majin Bay. Great player, great guy.
I think he shouted you out on his like.
I heard he did.
stream or
I haven't
something?
had a chance to listen to it yet, but he had a moment. He tried to get very tricky versus me and forgot there was an active endless winter, and he popped his snaps and got a frostbite, and unfortunately the blood left his face when I was like, oh no, I can't do my turn.
More like Majin Boo Boo, you know?
Yeah. So you know, he said it would have been. I mean, it was still a close game. I think it would have been really close had that not happened. So, you know, round one, you know, we actually joked about it in the thing. It's like you really don't want to play somebody who you know their name,
Right.
because you're hoping that you know it's.
You're hoping Blake Meyer somehow bought a PTI.
Right.
And then you're playing up against them right away or whatever.
Yeah. I played against two Oldhams who. It was Pat Eschi, I think is how you pronounce it.
I remember that guy from the finals of.
Yeah, he won just before, and Ryan Rich. They're both, you know, Oldham specialists. So they were on the Anathos tech. I had unfortunately been a little out of the loop for the month leading up to the Pro Tour. A lot of work, so I had missed this. I hadn't practiced enough and kind of missed that interaction. And
Because what is Anathos doing for you?
it kind of wins the mirror is what it does for you. So it allows you to present 4, and depending on how they block, you can choose whether you want to go to 6 or you want to arsenal. So with Sledge, you have to always pitch 2 cards
6,
unless it's
yeah.
your tunic turn. But with that, you can just, you know, depending on how they block what you got, you're like, oh, you know what? I'll just arsenal. They block 6, I'm going to arsenal. They block 4, I'll go to or block 3, I'll go to 6. So the incremental value is really high.
Yeah, the way you're explaining this, not that you're saying it's a bad job, I'm like, oh, like you can play something at instant speed, and now
Yeah.
there's another card in your arsenal to bump it to 6 or something.
Yeah, so basically you always get the choice to make the correct decision. Because you get the...
Can you leave some variance for the rest of us?
I know. So those were my 2 CC losses.
Pat SG and the other dude, the
Yeah.
other Oldham.
Yeah.
And it was Anothos that did that, or there was some other stuff?
I mean, they were played great, and so I want to say it's just Anothos, but it definitely was like, oh no, I'm on the wrong end of this.
Draft is terrifying in this building, or was it like, it was still fun, even though it was like, pass your card now or die?
You've probably heard about this. The drafts were interesting because they didn't use the standard packs because they didn't want people to be able to count, because there was a difference between Belgium and Japanese printing, and pro players make sure they know those things. So
And it's like, why would you not want your pro players to have the most information available? Like that, I feel like that's the opposite.
yeah,
Like, we're not trying to do it for the little guys here. It's like, let the people who are spending money and wearing jerseys assert their dominance.
the way I understood it is they didn't want you to be winning because you knew how to count the collation of the packs, rather than focus on like drafting the signals and
Right.
you know I don't know,
Or
so,
forcing 5 from step 1 or whatever.
yeah.
What about
So
these 5 cards and outsiders?
but it made for what appeared to be pods that you couldn't get out of a standard box, right? Because they weren't all the packs and all the cards weren't from one box.
So we're trying so hard to not have it be
yeah.
an environment that we all know, that now it's a
It's a-
chaotic environment.
It was more chaotic than you would expect. I think I was on the positive end of this on the first draft. I was the only Azalea at my table, and I got like 5 red infecting shot.
I mean, that's amazing. And like
So
anytime you get toxicity, you're like a champion too.
yeah, I had 3 toxicity. I had 5 that I had a pretty amazing deck. I had a heartbreaker against Tarek in the 7th round, so we were both X and 1, and I had him on the ropes, and I drew 4 non-attacks. The last 4 non-attacks in my deck, and then he was Benji, and he got me with the unblockable.
I mean, is that something where it's like you should pitch stack like Tao Tao, or what's going on?
We were still in cycle 1, so he had been blocking with
Sucks.
4 cards for a few turns, and playing great, right? Like he does, at knowing that he needed me to miss, and I missed, and that was that.
I think one thing that I'm interested about the Baltimore thought process, because I guess that's your 2 middle parts, and then you got high stake CC afterwards.
Yeah.
And is that something where you're like, okay, thank God, let me shred this whole draft persona, and I just get to play my heart out with my favorite hero, and just like leave it all out here? Or is it like, because at that point it's like you're probably not gonna make top 8, but now you're playing for $1,000, $1,500, like incremental up there.
So I was still live going into the last CC. So I was X and 3. I think I was live. I know a few X and 3 didn't make it, but I lost like 2, 7, and 9. So I think it was late enough that had I won out, I would have made it. So I'm still in like pretty high intensity mode. And then I ran into the second Oldham round. What is it? The second round of CC, and lost that. And once you're out, it is kind of, I don't want to say it's nice because you want to win,
Right.
but it's definitely like it takes it down a notch.
I mean, 4 + 6 is 10 rounds already. So
Yeah.
your 12th round is the one that takes you out, and I think that is probably like, okay, like we're not playing for 50 grand anymore. We're playing for.
You're playing for a PTI
Right.
at that point, and like your top 32 is really, once you're out of top 8, your goal is to get that PTI. Somebody's saying get the go again.
Yes, like your PTI replaces itself.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Go again to another. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Right?
That
It's
that
cool.
does
They
work.
should call them go agains.
So 22 is where you ended up.
Yep.
What does that feel like? That's winning your last round.
Yeah. So I lost 12, and then I won 13 and 14.
Gotcha.
So I played 4 Lexi.
So if you had won 12, you can jump up 10 spots.
So
And then tiebreakers would take you from 12 to maybe 9 or 8 or something. Is that how that works? I don't know how large tournaments like this work. I don't know if that's
as far as
something
your
everyone knows.
placing, so like if I lost 13 or 14 instead.
I'm just wondering if it's like, oh, you divide 22 by 2 because you would have won one more, and that's like you could have made to at least 12 or maybe a little bit higher. I don't know how.
No, so losing 4. Again, it's just like these smaller tournaments. The later you lose, the higher you end up in your respective point
X
bracket.
something. Yeah.
So losing the last round, like Zane from San Diego, who he got 17th. He was live till the last round.
Yeah.
He lost his winning in, and ended up 17th actually. So like you can drop
That's
kind
a
of
lot.
far.
That's a big jump from like, oh, it could have been 8.
Yeah.
So now it's 17.
Yeah. So it really, again, for everybody watching, you want to lose as late in the tournament as possible. And if there's going to be like wherever the cutoff is that make top 8, it's usually you have to lose the last round to be one of the like people that barely make it in. If you lose second to last round, you're pretty much
The worst. Yeah.
you're out.
So, did you have fun? You're going to do this some more? Or, oh my God, thank God I got this out of my system. I'm going to crush you guys locally, but I'm not going to go to nationals? Or no, like you'll be wherever the hell it is in Europe, you'll be there for Worlds? Or what's the thought process here?
I go back and forth on this all the time. I mean, it's like maybe I'm not going to travel, and then you do really well at this thing, and you're like, okay, maybe.
There's only 21 people better than you in the entire world.
Hey,
and they could all eat lobster
Yeah.
on the wrong day.
Exactly.
And then you're there.
And then you win the thing, right?
Or they show up with Prism,
Yeah.
and it's bad into Oldham somehow.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, right? The travel, you see, the great part about the Flesh and Blood community still being kind of it's growing a lot. It's kind of still relatively small, and the people who are going, they love it. So they are going to everything. So you
Right.
get to see a lot of people, all over the world doing it, and it's really cool to travel around and do it. Definitely, you know, anybody that can, um,
Should.
I think they should.
Okay, maybe I'll.
Whether you do, even if you're gonna just go and do, you're gonna grind tickets for side events. People have a blast doing that. So whether you're like casual, battle hardened, calling pro tour, every level, the events are really great.
Have you signed somebody's cold foil Titan's Fist yet?
No, no, I did sign a.
You gotta get in there.
What's the yellow 3 block from Uprising that you get to redraw if you.
Strategic planning, or that's all you got?
That's all you got, yeah. I
Mm.
did sign somebody's that. They were making fun of me because I played Yellow Sink Below in an event once.
Oh, I remember.
And
I was there for that.
and
Yeah.
so I got a lot of
Into
crap.
your whatchamacallit deck,
And
your Starvo deck, right?
yeah, I got a lot of crap for that. So they had me sign there.
How did
That's
they
all you
know
got.
about that?
They were one of the 8 people watching the stream. So that was exciting. I will say something though, it's been very cool. From these AGE events, it's been recognized a lot at these, and it's probably thanks to Justin and yourself and everybody putting on a great production. It's pretty cool going like, wait, I know, wait, hey, you're that guy from AGE. It's like, yeah.
Is that something where you're like, I'm glad that's happening, or, damn, this guy probably knows how many buckles I have in my deck. This is a disaster. I was gonna surprise this person.
It's well, I get maybe less surprised, but it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
But then you have the
Yeah.
like you're intimidating already.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
then you get that extra few percentage points for being like, oh, maybe they're scared of you.
Was there any like raw emotion at the pro tour of like people just being like, man, I'm not saying was there any cursing or something, but it was just like, was there anybody throwing their cards down when they went out? Like, that's kind of what like I would want to be like, not man on the reporter, like, tell me how you really feel because you just threw your deck box in the ocean. But it's like, was there anybody just being like, I hate this game because I lost a very important game and I'm over this stuff?
I've seen that at other events. I didn't see anything out of control here, unfortunately. I will let them know. I will let you know next
Cool.
time. I'll try to get out my phone and make sure, so you can maybe try to recreate it or something here.
I think that's something that's hilarious to me about like I didn't go anywhere close to Baltimore, not on purpose. It was just not there was no PT and there was no I for me there either. And it was like I have heard so much about the community and it just feels like everybody's like everyone is so nice.
They are.
They're lit and it feels like people are talking about human emotion for like the first time in their life. Like people are happy and they're telling you great job even if you lose, even if you beat them. They're like, and it's like I'm looking for. I don't know why I'm such a hater. Where I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah, totally. I would say 10 to 20% at most of the opponents are like at worst just all business,
Yeah.
right? Like even after the game, it's like play, pack up, and leave. That's really as bad as you get as somebody who's just all business. But most people are, pretty friendly.
Yeah.
Even when you're competing at that level, willing to just,
Because where are these Telesharp people? They're just not getting PTIs, I guess.
So I have my own opinions about this. I often feel like there's like an inverse relationship between your skill level and how salty you get.
Say that.
So maybe the reason you get so salty, Blake, is
I'm trash.
You got to up your game, bro.
Oh my god. Well, what sucks is when I try out my game, then I'm sweating even more, and then if I still lose after practicing, then
Yeah.
it's very frustrating.
No, it's you gotta work on that tilt. That's a huge skill actually for these events. Speaking of
mean-
things you need, like forget playing the game. 14 rounds,
No,
16 rounds.
7 in a row. Like, get F.
And you can't lose focus, and you can't worry that you lost the last round when you play the next round.
I feel like I'm going to ask a super dumb question at these big
All right.
tournaments because it's probably how gym works too. And this has probably been explained. Let me do this. Do people that lose play people that win? Or do people that lose play other people that lose?
It's literally the same as these. So
it's-
you're playing, round one, it's all everybody's even, and then
Right.
all the winners play winners and losers play losers. So like the draft pods at the end of the day, like all the 4-0s were in the same pod,
Right.
and then they filled it out with X1s, and then it's an X1 pod, and then it's the X2 pods, and it
It feels
just
kind of bad to be the person who was like, I went 4-0 and now I'm 4-3. Like,
yeah.
I guess that happened to Alan, and he was
Yeah.
like, I'm out of here. Even.
Yeah, a decent amount of people.
I mean, it's gonna happen to one.
One out of
person in that
one
pod
out of
every
eight.
time.
1 out of 8 4-0s.
The other 1 out
04.
of 8.
Yeah.
O's and 3s.
Yeah, or 03s. Yeah. And then the flip though is also you can make up huge grounds. You go 2-2 in CC, and then you 3-0 your draft. You're in decent shape.
I think the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is if you could become an LSS employee, what would you be your first order of business? Is there any thought process of the casual format
Yeah.
and like what that could mean for, oh, this game is going to be 18 years old one day,
Yeah.
and we're going to be talking about, you used to play casual, or what was it, classic constructed?
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah. So I think CC is gonna hopefully still be the gold standard. I mean, that's I think what
Blitz is the one that falls away.
No, what I think is the problem is there's but like we'll take, you just said I try to minimize variance. We'll take Oldham for example. If you're a new player playing against an experienced Oldham, you probably win close to 0% of the time. And that's just not a fun experience.
No.
So there's that's one side. So it's like, using like Magic as an example, like whatever the equivalent of Commander is. I know there's UPF. I've seen people have a blast playing it. I still don't know if it's like a format. But like something where if you just wanted to like drink beer and sling cards and you don't care that much about winning or losing, you just want fun interactions, what Flesh and Blood is right now isn't really that game.
Not even close, no.
Right? It's very much geared towards deep
having your
interaction.
gold foil that's $400 in front of you. And I literally read 4 podcasts before I got here, and I know the interactions here.
Well, like you think about it, like when you first started playing Flesh and Blood, you play, say, a 3-round CC Armory. You're probably exhausted at the end. Like you're ready. You're like, I'm ready for a nap. It was fun if you enjoyed that intense.
You have to be a specific player to enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's not 7 colors of the rainbow will enjoy that player. It's the control people that have 4 years of Magic.
Yeah.
You have 20. How many years of Magic? 10?
Off and on since
So
revised.
control players that have Magic coming out of their veins, it is like you fell in love with this game quickly. Yeah. Everyone else maybe, like, I think the thing I fell in love with was, I randomly top 8 a skirmish sealed as, what's her face, Prism.
Yeah.
Because I have Phantasmaclasm, you have Phantasmaclasm.
Yeah.
You do yours first. It worked on 2 other people, but not against Craig.
I remember that.
You top 8, I top 8. I'm like, I have a shiny card that I can trade for Grasp of the Arknight that I still have in my bag.
Nice. Well done.
But it's like, that's a fun thing that has gone away from, of every time we, not skirmish, I guess, but every time we do anything bigger than an armory, it's bring your $500 deck.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Good luck, brand new players. And are you guys getting brand new players in Simi Valley where it's like, I love this, but y'all are kicking my ass, and I'm going to go practice for 2 months. Because like some people have said that of like, why don't I come back after learning stuff and try again because I'm not enjoying the Tuesdays.
Right. Right. No, that's part of the problem, right? Is like it's daunting for those people. Um, so, I know there's been this PVE that's been floated around. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if it's rumor
Right.
mill. It seems like it's fairly official. Like,
Fight this box of chicken. And, like,
yes, but
you
something
bought it, and now
it,
this has blood rush.
but
Get stuff on your cards or something.
something to let people who aren't just very competitive gamers enjoy Flesh and Blood because it's such a cool universe. It's so well made. The core of everything of the game mechanics are so good, but like, how do you port that into something that you know somebody who likes Candy Crush is gonna? Maybe that's not right, but you know what
I
I
mean,
mean.
I get that layer of thought process. And, like, I think one thing that is interesting to me is, like, you don't have to balance cards if they're for a casual format
Totally.
of, like, you know what? Here's a Bolton sword that Bolton can use, and if he charges every time he charges, it sticks around and it does more damage, and he's gonna fight the dragon. You basically have to have Duskblade, but for Bolton to even come at this dragon.
Right.
And, like, I think one thing that just popped in my head where I'm like, I don't know if it's stupid or whatever, but those Blitz decks over there that are 40 cards, it's like if you build a party pack and there's some kind of like this is 25 cards that this one's going to be all warrior, but some of it's like from all different kinds of sets. I don't know. Like, I'm going to build my party pack that could have like the really good deck, but you don't play these cards in other formats. It's just casual.
Yeah. Though they're
Like
exactly.
a cube built from LSS and Co.
I mean, so like this goes down so many rabbit holes, right? Like, it's tough when you start making too many products, right? There's times,
Right.
but like, if you made Yoji,
What is Yoji doing? Yeah.
well, it's funny actually. People are now using him to try to. I heard him try to fatigue and blitz because he's got 2 extra life. Um, Brian, my man, yeah, no. I know there's people on this, and that's what's fantastic.
Right.
Like,
Because I love Blood Rush.
yeah,
And if I could Blood Rush with my friends towards a common
Yeah.
enemy,
Friggin'
everybody's
awesome.
probably going, holy crap, it's Blake's Blood Rush turn, let's go.
Yeah.
Instead of like,
Well, like think about like the biggest Flesh and Blood interactions. Those crazy I don't know. Blood Rush is a good example. The Channel Mount Heroic into
Right.
Force of Nature type things. Like, people want to be able to do that, right? Like, it's hard to not use the Commander analogy where it's like, part of what made Commander so popular in Magic was like people got to play big things that you couldn't do in a competitive format because you got to be so efficient.
right.
And like,
I don't have the room to do trapeze artistry whenever Briar's hitting me for
but
15.
people want to do trapeze artistry. A lot of people do. Like, very competitive people don't necessarily want to, but a lot of people do. And like, you can come in and just play. So
I think that's one thing about one game that I do the trapeze in is like Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Of like, I'm on my phone, like, what's the perfect combo? I have 7 Boars die, and then I get a sword that comes in for 15 and erases all of your mana.
Yeah.
Like, you spend 4 hours playing that deck, and it works once, and you're like, that was a good night, and you're just like, why did I do that? But I am that dumb to like.
No, that's the perfect
I want
kind
to
of
trapeze.
casual thing. It's funny coming back to our event with how many Katsus made top 8? Was it 4?
3, I think.
3 of them. I
There's
made
gas in the tank for that hero.
I think one of my earlier pre-outsiders like predictions on one of these AGE slides was like, what could you bring back if you wanted to, or make good that was an old mechanic? And I said combo, and then earlier today I said, Flesh and Blood's in its best place when Katsu is a playable deck, and I think it kind of follows these lines because like Katsu's fun, comboing is fun when you get to like. You hear people out there say, oh my God, I got Dishonored, or I got off Dishonored. Like, those make for memorable moments. More stuff like that.
And if you're 4 bands of ninjas in this PvE thing, and you're fighting Yoji and maybe the other
Yeah.
like samurai guys, and it's like you have to everyone has to dishonor Yoji to knock him out. It's like that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I know that's like a board game is what we're talking about, where you're just like, oh my god, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That is something I do like the idea. I'm very bad against playing against Katsu, but I think that is a good idea of if Katsu is good, we're healthy.
Yeah.
If Katsu is dumpstered by a defensive deck, that defensive deck probably has a little bit too many defensive options because he is the one who can do a +1 bump from Ancestral or your Shuriken at this point or your Breaking Skills and like all that options. It makes sense that that's a good deck now.
It's going to be pretty exciting when Oldham goes.
You're excited for that.
I'm
Gary, it's not over. We're trying to fill in top 8 because somebody rolled 3 ones in a row.
yeah. Levia did Levia thing. Hey Gary.
Gary played Levia. He knows.
Yeah. No. It like Katsu's probably going to be in a pretty good place once Oldham's out of it.
Are you ever gonna play not Guardian?
Yeah.
What's the next one? You're back on Prism, Advent of Thrones, or something?
No. Prism's given me too much hurt over the years.
That's why I don't play Rune Blades on purpose.
But although I'm pretty fond of Dromai.
Okay.
I think Dromai fits my style, so I might try that.
Are you worried that you're going to be 8 months of micro decisions behind all these people that say, I have a 90% matchup into every hero? Are you worried that it's going to take you 8 months to build up the ego that some of those guys have?
That's pretty funny, actually.
I don't think the cards are going to trip you up. I think it's the amount of distaste you have to have for everyone else's heroes and how better you are.
No, you know how I'm going to tilt them all? Here's how I'm going to do Dromai and really piss them off. I'm going to put no cold foils. I'm going to have regular dragons. No.
Just pull
No
them out barely and say
use the checklist cards and then use regular basic dragon.
It's been months since I've seen a checklist card.
When's the last time you saw not a Marvel dragon? Like
my own deck box.
Yeah.
When I was like, get this deck out of here. I mean, nobody plays them. Everybody
like,
has to spend $2,000 for that deck.
Token Ashwings, like who does that? I didn't even know those were legals.
And by some of those guys, he means 3 guys. I'll do it. That's cool. That's interesting because you can still be defensive.
Yeah.
But then you still have your power. And now you're going to be like, I got it. Don't worry. The Red Dust of the Desert is probably only a 67-cent card.
Yeah.
You saw the power of that today, though.
I felt the power of that. You know, a lot of people look at those kind of matchups and they probably think you're nuts for wanting to play into those. Like, you look at like the Michael Fang semifinals.
Right.
What was it, 2 hours?
Juha versus Michael,
Yeah.
2 hours. Like, I was at an armory while we were watching that, and we got through a round and a half of Flesh and Blood while that was going on.
That's my favorite Flesh and Blood. I know, like, sitting there and doing aggro mirrors
sucks. Yeah. I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I enjoy trying to sculpt for the long game. I'm happy to try to find a deck that does that. But I also kind of want to try to play an aggro deck too.
So you haven't seen the stream? Or you watched the finals probably?
So
or you heard about it?
I was eating dinner when the semifinals were going on. So I had my phone out, like skimming through, trying to figure out what was going on. I was starving.
Because there's 3 deck lists that I've seen that were top 8.5 because Ian got 9th place.
Yeah.
I think Ian's deck was the one Justin was most impressed by. Juha had stuff going on his, and then Mario's was a complete different thought process. Of those 3, were you like, oh, I would pick that one if I had to do it tomorrow?
So I haven't seen Ian's deck. I do have huge respect for him. Great player. And
what part of the team is he with or whatever?
So he's with, I don't know all the people, but he plays actually with Zane and Yuki Lee Bender.
So it is those guys.
He's in that group, and they obviously make incredible decks. So I haven't seen it. But I lean more. Is it Yuha or Juha?
I think Yuha. Juha. Okay. I'm from the place where we go jalapeno, I guess.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
jalapeno.
I guess.
My bad.
Yeah.
I do follow him on Twitter. I was like,
Yeah.
Fab Dad, if I ever have a kid sometime in the next 45 years, I need to know how this works.
I think I would go more that way, just because it does lean a little bit more, I guess, control.
Yeah.
Um,
You're, we're putting in,
okay.
getting the knowledge from Justin real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Craig. It only is only Ian's list has every defensive option,
Gotcha.
and then how many remembrance and how many Uvia?
Okay.
3 Uvia,
So
3
he's playing
Necrovia.
the super long game.
Yes.
He's doing like the equivalent
He
of
is-
fatigue hold'em.
If you sit down and you are not ready for this, bye. Goodbye.
Sounds good. Win when your opponent's not ready. Those are good wins.
But Breyer still has 938 or whatever. So 888 for Oldham. Is that going to last, or is it Nationals
Well-
probably takes him away?
Well, the big thing is right is new Prism
Oh
like
God, yeah.
gonna be like old Prism. Like there's a chance that Prism comes out and he just stops dead in his tracks, right? Like Oldham, if in a meta where Prism's good, Oldham's essentially unplayable. But
That's
again, it's a
old
new hero.
Prism,
There's no
yeah.
Luminaris, but all of those all those wonderful auras are still legal.
What I'm interested is mostly all those auras are going to be written on the text of what we want. So Ode to Wrath can do Luminaris' text. So it is going to be
Correct.
there can be a go again if you have a yellow.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't even need yellow. It's been a while, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how those decks balance whatever new shenanigans they're going to have.
Yeah.
It's going to be invoke angels, and then also your heralds. Heralds are going to be like only good if certain stuff is up. Yeah, somebody's saying just depends.
Yeah,
on the
no, we don't. Yeah, we really don't know. So in the new Angels, right? They have Ward on them,
but not Phantasm.
and Ward, like, lets you still attack your opponent and potentially, right? You can attack and kill.
It's amazing because it's like you don't have to choose between the dragon and Dromai. You just go
Yeah.
towards the prism, and then whatever she doesn't block hits an angel.
Which is part of the genius. Like, to me, it's like clearly they're trying to rebalance that class to be like, okay, we have this really cool concept with the Spectra and then the Illusionist things, but it was just too difficult to deal with without being able to, attack two things in a turn. Like,
Right.
even with Go Again, right, it nullifies that. So a way to, balance it a little bit more like Dromai, where if, you can possibly kill more than one thing a turn, then I think we're back in business.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Soraya.
Yeah.
Soraya. That card, I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to be able to expect. This one says invoke Soraya. The other one says something different. There's like, this is an ally. The other one says angel on it. One of them says something about Light Illusionist is Soraya. The new Bologna could be used by Bolton, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's light only. So that's cool if light is like the
Invoke.
the talent or the slice of the pie that's like summoning angels. That's a cool place to be. We do know that regardless of whether she's good or not, she's going to be 50% of the meta because like all of the people that are going to switch back just they love some Prism.
You said something about Sigil of Suffering is going to be good against Ward. What does that do?
Because yeah.
Hey, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to just play. Like, Viscera is going to ruin everybody's life, right? It's going to go. I'm going to Revel in Runeblade, kill 4 angels, boom, 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 boom. Goodbye.
Yeah, but what about when Viscerai loses Rosetta Thorn? Because Briar, Living Legends.
Yeah, when is Tyler going to Living Legend this year, or what's going on?
Maybe.
I feel like if you took Briar to Pro Tour, you know something that I don't, but it does. That deck looks good whenever he plays it. Not trying to dog on the people I play Tuesdays with, but like there is a thing where I haven't played against this deck. We got somebody from the upstairs saying, "How do you feel about meta right now, and how are you feeling? I said it way less eloquently.
I think the meta right now is great. Like there's,
Let's remind you what it
I
is.
mean, we have one 90-90 in the form of Oldham versus Dromai, but other than that, there's no. I mean, I guess there's some lopsided stuff. There's no like complete party pooper. Lexi, based on the stats from the Pro Tour, appears like she probably is too powerful if she's getting 60% win rate. But also, there's probably time. She feels counterable if she overtakes. So I don't want to be too quick to
I
like
mean,
do
Uzuri could
something
just
about
come into the meta and
Right,
absolutely push her
There are
out.
counters. So
Not push her out, but like ruin her
yeah.
her round 3 and her round 4. And then why is there Alexi at 2-2 and losers?
You
Well, I
know,
played the only 2 Uzuri in the room.
some people like to argue that a 3 like hero meta is better. I don't know. I think this is completely subjective, but for me, I think it's cool that there's there's no. Well, I guess Lexi's probably clearly the best deck, but you're not you're not just giving up if you don't play her. I don't
Right.
think. Yeah, there's not. Yeah,
Yeah, if you didn't show up with Starvo, it was like, why are you not playing Starvo? You
And-
have to play Prism,
yeah.
who beats Starvo.
And I really think Chain got to that point too. And like Chain, like even if they weren't quite there, like was so powerful it warped the whole game of Flesh and Blood. I don't think anybody's warping like, oh, I don't have a strategy that can either fatigue or like race somebody who by turn 5 just overtakes the game.
Right.
That doesn't happen right now. And even Prism had a little bit of that. If you didn't have a strategy that worked against Prism, she would just
Goodbye.
She kind of had inevitability.
I think one thing too that blows my mind when you think about card game design and game design at all is the idea of like you can't like polarizing matchup like 60% win rate. The idea is to have your win rate be like 51 tops.
Right.
You're hoping for 50.
Yeah.
So 60 doesn't really feel that oppressive, but if the goal is 50.01,
yeah.
you are percentage points away enough where it is like we need to figure out something here.
Well, and you see it in the big events, like in Baltimore, right? Like people got all the stats, right? She's like 50% of the top 8, 50% of the top 16, 50% of the top 32, maybe even more. Like, and it's like
all the way down
over time, right? All of those 60%, 60%, 60%, lead to a completely lopsided situation.
Okay, well, that's an hour with Craig after we watch somebody roll 3 dice ones. We're going to take a short break to get the top 4 match ready. Thanks for talking with us. That felt like a mini podcast out of nowhere, but
yeah, we'll start it.
Hopefully that didn't bore people at home too bad when they were doing laundry, but we'll see you guys in like 5 minutes.